Silver players do it, Emerald players do it, Master players do it, Challenger players do it, even Pro players do it. And if you ask any of them why, nobody can really tell you, because this is the ward that changed League of Legends forever. And because everybody is doing it, you're going to learn how every role in the game can use it to gain a massive advantage before minions even reach lane. But first, we need to figure out what this ward even does. And to do that, we followed a Master Zyra support player. Every game started the exact same way. Both bot lanes rushed straight down and placed the ward. Now in Game 1, nothing happened, and both duos just sat AFK in the furthest lane bush afterwards. In Game 2, the enemy duo rushed in, and they instantly killed Zyra's ward by both attacking it at the same time, and then they backed off. In Game 3, and a little bit of a shocker here, Zyra did get her ward, but the enemy Nautilus and Triss didn't even bother to place one themselves, yet surprisingly, nothing happened afterwards. Game 4, both duos placed the ward, only Zyra took a Vel'Koz Q for free, with Ezreal also looking to try and land some poke on her ADC. The 5th game, this is where things got a little bit crazy though. The enemy Lucian and Braum both ended up placing their ward, but then went straight at Zyra while she tried to place hers, with Braum landing his Q, and then Lucian and him running her down for a super easy first blood. But I'm gonna pause it right here. Did you notice a pattern so far in these last 5 games? You probably didn't, as after Zyra placed this ward, something completely different happened in every single one of those games. But if every outcome is completely random, then why on earth did coin flipping a game before it even starts somehow become the meta nowadays? And more importantly, how can you abuse this? Well, to find out, we first have to go back in time. Previously, once you got into the game, minions didn't spawn for over an entire minute, meaning you literally had tons of free time before you had to be in lane to do something. And players, they used to use every single second of this. 5-man invades, blitz and thresh players spam pinging to invade the enemy jungle or even hooking over walls, with some games even ending up in a 5v5 brawl literally at level 1. Unless of course your teammate decided to use the loading screen to go to the toilet, we've all been there. But if your team weren't invading, every player had their own job. You spread out, guarded your jungle entrances, and even placed wards to make sure the enemy can't enter your jungle without being seen doing so. But patch 26.1, this one introduced one of the biggest changes that we have ever seen in all of League of Legends history, creating a drastic shift in the in-game timeline. Minions, after this patch, spawned at 30 seconds, jungle camps at 55, and it shifted everything forward by 35 seconds compared to what it once was. Now, with just 30 seconds, not a minute, until you had to be in lane, there wasn't time to do anything. And just like that, Thanos snapped overnight. Invades became a relic of the past. The whole entire level 1 pregame setup became condensed into one simple script. One player tries to get a ward on the enemy Raptors to figure out where the junglers are pathing, and bot lane, as we know, rushes straight to their lane to get this ward down. And this is where things started to get weird, because the Raptor ward, it obviously has a purpose, but this bot lane ward, initially it was placed to stop the enemy duo from walking up through the lane bushes, taking control, and surprising them for an early trade or all-in. Which sounds reasonable, until everybody started doing it in every single game, regardless of the matchup. The unpredictable chaos of the old level 1 was replaced by the exact same routine and script in practically every single game. And what started as a strategy that quickly became a habit, that habit became a script. Now nobody even thinks about why they're placing this ward anymore, let alone considering that you might be exploiting that fact that they're about to place it, meaning you could abuse this mindless habit in multiple ways to gain a huge advantage in your games. But let's go back to where we left off with our Zyra from earlier, as Lucian and Braum understood that they are so much stronger level 1 than Senna and Zyra. And they obviously know one of them is going to place this ward because everybody is practically mind-controlled into doing it. Braum immediately runs forward and looks to engage from range with Q on whoever attempts to place it. Now if we stop right here and we think about this matchup without the ward in mind, Senna and Zyra would never in a million years be in a position where they potentially risk fighting Braum Lucian at level 1 without at least minions to back them up. But this ward, it totally mind controls players into taking huge, massive risks, like walking into engage range right at the start of the game, which leads us to our first and most obvious tip of this guide. If you have a stronger lane matchup level 1, and especially if you have a way to engage from range, then you should always be looking to run directly at your opponents and try to catch them placing this ward. And I'm talking especially on support champions champions with strong engage. I'm talking Nautilus, Camille, Thresh, Pike, Blitz, as this is one of the easiest ways to instantly burn their flashes or even get level 1 kills. And look, this can work in every elo right now, but admittedly, as you do climb higher, vulnerable supports are obviously going to be a little bit more cautious to this as they place this ward and make it slightly harder for you to engage. But don't worry, there's a solution for that as well. Remember, players originally started placing this ward to stop the enemy bot lane from walking up through lane bush and surprising them. Except, there's one big issue with this. You can literally just walk around it by going to the alcove. And as you know where your opponents are going to be standing, you, again, find a super easy and free engage that they will never ever expect. The reason why comes down to how the alcove is designed. Everybody knows that wards obviously don't provide vision through walls. So, this ward, when placed in the position that everybody puts it in, only gives vision in this radius. And although not many people know this, the first lane bush actually does extend slightly into the alcove itself. So, by hugging the wall, you can completely dodge the ward using this pocket of vision right here, and then engage on your opponents before they ever even see you. Casey's Kalist is somebody who frequently took advantage of this in his recent Korea climb prior to MSI, even without engage supports, mind you, where rather than dropping the ward himself, he would often hug the wall, sneak into the alcove, and look to go around like he does right here to Senna and Seraphine, forcing the all-in and getting the flash, the heal from Seraphine, as well as the barrier from Senna. And although he didn't pick up any kills here, the lane, from that point, it's practically over. Seraphine has to base, then him and Karma can just completely zone Senna off the wave, denying all the experience and all the gold, all from this one trick. And the reason Kalist was so confident he could just run them down, even with Karma positioned off to the side here, is because he has lethal tempo and Senna has DFT. Because comparing Keystone runes, it's one of the simplest ways to figure out which bot lane is going to be stronger in the 2v2. By this point though, you're probably thinking, so placing this ward really only favors the stronger level 1 duo. And I could get why you'd think that, but it's not exactly like that. In just a second, I'm going to show you a huge way even weaker level 1 laners can abuse this. But knowing how to play the early lane phase and understanding when you're stronger and when you're weaker is one of the most crucial skills that you have to learn to climb. And that reason is exactly why we developed our brand new Season 16 Essentials courses for every role. 4 to 5-part courses designed to walk you through every stage of the game, from navigating the lane phase on your chosen role by teaching you how to win every trade, to the must-know Season 16 timers that give you a huge advantage in lane, and the exact rules that you have to be following for when to fight, when to push, when to freeze, when to recall. There's even an entire chapter in our ADC and support courses dedicated to teaching you how to play every single type of bot lane matchup possible. Whether you're the ADC, learning how to adapt to your support, or you're the support figuring out exactly what your ADC needs from you. From melee engaged lanes to enchanters, poke supports, even mages, you're going to learn how every bot lane pairing actually wants to play, how to survive the difficult matchups, and how to completely take over lane when your duo has the advantage. And if that wasn't enough already, we also cover the macro decisions most laners get completely wrong, to all the mistakes that 99% of players make around objectives that are literally costing them games, as we teach you everything, literally everything you need to master the mid game on your chosen role. Before then, finally covering the art of team fighting and the tips and tricks challenger players abuse to always deal the highest damage possible, from how to position on ADC, how to frontline on a tank or support, how to manage and track cooldowns, and even some of the must-know settings and mechanics. So if you are serious about climbing this season, this is exactly what you have been looking for. The search is over. There is a reason it has countless 5-star reviews already. Check it out completely risk-free using the link or the pinned comment in the description below, as if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service, you're going to get every penny back. Now though, even if you're on the losing side and you don't have a strong all-in at level 1, you can still take advantage of this ward being placed to build a massive early lead, just like this Seraphine here, where after both teams get the ward down, she sneaks around unseen into the alcove using the trick we just taught you before the ad, and rather than looking for an all-in, as they obviously lose, she instead looks to land some huge poke, shooting her blind E on both Galio and Kai'Sa, which Ziggs can then follow up on with his Q, and sure, it's only landing a few spells here, but just look at Kai'Sa's health right now, and this is enough that it gives Seraphine and Ziggs complete priority to just take control of the lane from level 1, zoning both off the wave and even getting Kai'Sa's flash dash as she tries to get some XP, converting that early poke into winning the early lane phase for free. And with how popular mages are in the bot lane now, you can replicate this on near enough every single mage or even poke support. But you're gonna have to be careful, as the more people that find out about this alcove trick that we just talked about, the more riskier this is obviously going to become. And although you can get away with doing this against something with weaker engage like a Galio, if this was say like Thresh for example, there's a risk he could be looking to do the same thing to you. But like we said at the start of this guide, bot laners aren't the only ones who can abuse the habit everybody has of placing this ward. Because remember, prior to this patch, players typically used to spread out and guard every jungle entrance. But now, both bot laners are practically guaranteed to be standing in this exact same position every single game you play. And as everybody is only interested in warding raptors, it leaves the tri-brush completely undefended. Challenger junglers have finally started to realize just how broken this really can be, as once the game starts, you can run straight down bot and simply walk through the enemy tri-brush directly into the enemy jungle, like we see this Sylas doing right here. Then start their blue, do wolves and Gromp to hit level 3. As the enemy jungler, they won't even know this happened until they cross over into their quadrant, and by then, it's already too late for them to split map and go for your top side. And like this Sylas here, he just goes back to his own bot side jungle and starts clearing. Zen is left completely homeless, with his only play being to wait for Scuttlecrab and look for a questionable gank bot lane, and even that ends up being countered by Sylas. And just like that, the game is completely over as Sylas gets 2 kills, 3 jungle quadrants, a mid kill, and even double scuttle, all just from Jin's bot lane, placing a useless ward level 1. We all even saw just how effective this exact pathing can be in a recent MSI game, where T1's owner did the exact same thing and snuck through tri-brush at level 1, took Yikes blue, wolves, and Gromp, and then went behind and pushed up KC bot lane for a super easy first blood that they never even saw coming. People forget, but tri-brush is still incredibly important to cover in the early game, and as bot lane, you can also take advantage of people neglecting that as well, as when you're in a super favorable 2v2, but you're lacking the ranged engage of something like a Nautilus or a Pike, and you can't just run at your opponents like we saw earlier, another trick is to instead just go behind them. Again, you know where they're going to be. Oftentimes, if they don't see you match their ward, bot laners love to push up the middle bush even without thinking about who wins level 1. So you can just walk directly behind them, force a super favorable trade, blow some summoners, or even get a free kill, like this Galio and Vayne do here to the Syndra and Xerath. And this is especially disgusting against mage bot lanes, because if you're playing a conventional ADC, you're practically guaranteed to win any extended fight once you get in auto attack range. Which leaves us with the final way you can abuse people dropping this ward, as it happens right at the start of the game. In every game, there's even time for solo laners to get involved. Take this challenger game here. We have Camille Karthus versus Trist Pike. Both sides are insanely strong level 1 here. And truthfully, it's impossible to tell who wins this one, as even though Karthus is a mage, his early game damage is still super high. But as we already know, both teams are going to be mind controlled into placing this ward. The mid laner, Lux, comes straight there as well. Look, and if you needed more proof to just how silly and predictable this ward can be, is Camille doesn't even wait to see them and just blind ease straight into the bush and stuns Pike before there's time for any wards to even get placed. And as Lux is there, she can just follow up with a Q for a super easy double kill, then walk up river and make it back to lane without losing a single minion of experience in the process, which is why you should always be thinking about this whenever the bot lane matchup looks volatile. If both duos have strong level 1 champions, there is a very good chance somebody is going to force a fight or flip the game around this ward. And as a solo laner or even jungler, you can often win the game level 1 by making any one of these decisions. Nunu is especially disgusting with this, as there is literally zero counterplay, as he can just roll a snowball at ridiculous speed straight through the bushes, and if your team has any follow-up at all, it's going to be a guaranteed kill every single time. But here's the trick that we teased earlier in the guide, as this works even better when you're the weaker bot lane, because as you already know, the enemy duo knows they win level 1. There's a very high chance that they're going to look to engage or get baited into a fight right over this ward, at which point you can turn this into a 3v2. So before you load into the next game, here's the cheat sheet you need to abuse this ward. Number 1, if you have the stronger level 1 lane, don't mindlessly place your ward and back off. Run straight at whoever places theirs and try to cut them off with the goal of forcing an engage. Number 2, if you're stronger but want an even better all-in or couldn't catch them in time, use the alcove to sneak around their vision and look for the all-in, or even walk through the undefended tri-brush and get directly behind them if you're certain you're going to win. Number 3, if you're the weaker lane, you can still use that same blind spot in the alcove to land free poke and take control of the lane without ever committing to an all-in. And number 4, if you know the enemy duo is going to run at you or wants to fight level 1, bring your jungler or your mid laner and turn their supposedly free 2v2 into a completely unfair 3v2. Because while everybody else is mindlessly following the same level 1 script, you can be the one player actually thinking about how to punish this. This ward, it truly changed League post 26.1. For one simple reason too. Everybody assumes that they have to place this. But for now though, we really hope you guys enjoyed this one and we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.